Hey, let's talk about Batman number 68, written by Tom King with art by Amanda Connor. So I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't really quite understand what's going on in Batman right now. And in fact, I had dropped it from my list um, because there seemed to be a series of single issue stories, which generally I like. I love single issue stories. But there didn't seem to be a connective thread between them. And I don't really understand exactly what was happening or what is going on. And I think this issue kind of finally reveals it to us. I saw a tweet from Tom King talking about what's going on in Batman and how essentially, spoiler alert, Bane is playing mind games with Batman. And I think basically what's happening is that most of the stuff in the last several issues has been going on sort of inside Batman's mind. Anyway, this is sort of him remembering back, I guess, a flashback to the time when he was engaged to Selina Kyle, Catwoman, who left him at the altar. And I guess reliving this time period is sort of a way to torture Batman? I don't know. And break him? I think that's the idea. But it doesn't really read that way. It reads more like, oh, let's have a fun fantasy bachelorette party with Lois Lane getting drunk with Catwoman in the Fortress of Solitude. And that's basically what it is, juxtaposed with a pretty funny B story of Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent sort of hanging out at a boring bachelor party. Meanwhile, Lois Lane has got Superman super robots doing strip teases for Catwoman. Really a little weird. Seems a little off character. Not sure why Lois is so excited by this when she's married to Superman. But maybe the real Superman's kind of a super stiff, a little bit of a square, if you get my drift. And as you can tell, she's very excited by what's going on here, even to the point of uttering profanity. Hilarious. Meanwhile, Tom King, loves to point out this differences between Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne. I love this sort of chess match between them, where Clark's not really good at chess. He's sort of a rube. And, of course, Batman's going to beat him. But, he's trying to get more to the personal part of Batman. Now, this is where the Amanda Connor artwork ends. And I forget who the fill-in artist is. But this is where Clark and Bruce are sort of having their heart-to-heart. And Clark comes to this conclusion somehow. He tells Bruce, he says, I love being Superman, but I hate that I have to be Superman. Meaning that the world, I guess, is like a terrible place that really needs Superman. He doesn't like that, but he loves being able to make a difference. Whereas you, Bruce, you hate being Batman, but you love that you have to be Batman. And Bruce starts to say, no, I don't know, is he going to say stupid? Because it's a little stupid to me. I don't quite get it. But anyway, so, the story ends up with Clark and Bruce going to this Fortress of Solitude, and rescuing, or not rescuing, but reuniting with Lois and Selina. And then there's a final page where I don't know if I should spoil this or not. But there's a final page, let's just say there's a final page that sort of sheds some light on the mystery of what's been going on in Batman. And maybe explains why the sort of dreamlike nature of the last several issues. And why they don't quite make sense, but they do. Sort of in the way that a dream does. So if that's what turns out to be the case, I guess I'll forgive. It certainly almost lost me till I heard Tom King's explanation that there was a rationale and a thread sort of tying these issues together. Anyway, this issue works on a couple of different levels. If you want the fun Bat Family-ish type stuff and think that the idea of Catwoman and Lois Lane getting drunk in the Fortress of Solitude is a hoot, then you might like this. And the Amanda Connor artwork, I think she's a terrific artist, great storyteller, fun, distinctive style. Like, you can always tell it's her on a cover or an interior artwork. She is a solid professional comic artist as there is out there. I would put her probably among the top tier right now. Doesn't look like anybody else's superhero stuff, but that's the appeal, right? That's the look of Amanda Connor. Tom King, it's a weird juxtaposition, though, with the writing style of Tom King, who seems to be really into exploring Batman's sort of broken, twisted, psychological side. Anyway, this one pulled me back in. I put Batman back on my pull list. That's Scruffy Nerd Herder and Eureka. Shout out. And I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to continue it because I really liked the intriguing story in the beginning, several issues back, where Bane was sort of introduced as Bane is a broken man in Arkham Asylum, but the Penguin has told him that behind the scenes, Bane, it's all an act, and Bane is actually running the show. He's running all of Gotham out of Arkham Asylum. So that's all sort of starting to come together now, and if that's the case and they pull it off well, I'm going to say kudos, Tom King. You surprised me. You threw me a sucker punch I wasn't expecting, and so I'm back on board with Batman. Next time, we'll talk about, I don't know what we'll talk about. I'm thinking that I might talk about the new Wildstorm graphic novel that I just read. I finally read volume 1 of that. I've been waiting. Or maybe I'll talk about some new comics as well. Why don't you hit me up in the comments? Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and tell me what you'd like to see. And we'll catch you next time.